The topic of today's panel is Wireless America closed or open. And the question is, what does closed mean? What does open mean? And I thought I'd turn to Blair Levin first. And Blair, give us some historical perspective. What does closed or open mean?
Okay. Well, I'll start by saying that, one of the things I learned when I was at the FCC with several folks in the audience was that everybody wants a level playing field in which they get to run downhill. And that's kind of open and closed as well. That is to say, everybody wants the other guy's stuff open, but they want to have the ability to close off their own stuff. Openness is sometimes thought of as simply allowing a device to attach. So we see it with phone service. We actually have it with televisions. We're actually getting it with set-top boxes, and we're moving toward that on the wireless side. It sometimes is about access to certain essential facilities in what might be a monopoly network, which is kind of what happened in the '96 Act. It could be to essential features such as 10-digit dialing, or it could be, as AOL wanted, some kind of forced resale when somebody has what is an essential facility. In other words, there's all kinds of openness is used to define all kinds of things. Let me just close this by saying that fundamentally it's about market power. That is to say, we wouldn't, if we had 6 or 7 national wireless carriers, we wouldn't be having the debate. The market would, regulators would say, hey, the market's going to take care of it. If we had 1 or 2 carriers, we wouldn't be having the debate. There would be a policy of forced openness, and the government would step in. What we have is we're kind of in the middle ground, and I think there is a perception that the wireless market is it's certainly more competitive than the fixed wired side, but it may not be competitive enough to really allow for innovation and openness, because the people with the networks always have an economic incentive to try to extend their market power into other areas that can provide more revenue and more profitability. So that's the basic picture. Lots of different definitions, and I'll let you take it from there.
Jason Devitt, you are an entrepreneur. Innovation is one of the keys to your success. Do you think Blair said it's half open, half closed. How do you see it?
No, just to be clear, I'm saying from a regulatory perspective, that's the way the government, I don't characterize things myself. I'm just saying the government would have a simple answer if there were 6 or 7, and would have a simple answer if there were 1 or 2, and so the government is unclear what the answer is at this moment.
But I think it becomes a new definition of optimism versus pessimism, isn't it? The network's either half open or half closed, depending on your perspective. But here's how I think about the issues with respect to wireless. The way the wireless carriers operate in the US today is akin to what the internet would be like if you had to buy your PC from AOL. Think about that for a second. What would the web be like? What set of services would be available to you? What products would have been introduced over the last 10 or 15 years if you had to buy your PC from AOL? And my view on that is simply that at this stage, AOL would probably have recently introduced pictures online in the last year or 2, and search, they'd be boasting about the fact that search was down to 10 cents a pop. Okay, that's what the internet would be like, and that's what the mobile phone networks are like today. You, as a consumer, the overwhelming majority of consumers in the U.S. buy their handsets from one of the major wireless carriers. They get a substantial discount on the handset although not as large as you think. They get a discount on a handset in return for buying it from the carrier. And the devil's bargain is that you commit to a 2-year contract, and the phone that you've bought is very much constrained to deliver a set of services that the carrier controls. So there's a variety of things that you suddenly find after you make the purchase that you're unable to do because you took the phone from the carrier. From my perspective as an entrepreneur in the mobile market, there are a variety of services that I would like to be able to bring to market that might include new and innovative devices, or new services that would be delivered entirely through the browser on your phone, or applications that you might download to your handset that I am unable to do because the overwhelming majority of consumers have bought a phone that was designed by the carrier to only be useful with services that the carrier supplies and sells themselves.